developments in the controversy over what Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth divulged in real time over the encrypted consumer messaging app Signal shortly before U.S. military strike operations commenced in Yemen. And now The Atlantic magazine has published what it reports are the text messages Hegseth shared with a chat group that included top intelligence officials and inadvertently the magazine's editor-in-chief. The administration, including Hegseth, still insisting the messages were not classified, a claim that led The Atlantic to publish the messages. Some, it reports, were sent as U.S. warplanes were moments from flying to their target. One message purported to have come from Hegseth reading, "Weather is favorable, just confirm we are go for mission launch." Another reading, 12:15 ET, F-18's launch, first strike package. Today, top intelligence officials faced a grilling by Democrats in the House Intelligence Committee as the calls for an investigation grow louder. Peter Alexander leads off our coverage.
Tonight's secret no more. The reporter who was mistakenly added to that group chat with top Trump national security officials releasing what he says are all of the messages exchanged. Among them, this from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, sent just 30 minutes before the U.S. struck Houthi targets in Yemen on March 15th, detailing exact times and the weapons to be used. Hegseth writing at 11:44 a.m. just confirmed with CENTCOM we are a go for mission launch, previewing that at 12:15 F-18s launch the first strike package. At 1:45 strike drones launch, 2:10 more F-18s launch, and writing that 5 minutes later is when the first bombs will definitely drop. Atlantic editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg releasing them after he says multiple officials said no classified information was sent on the encrypted commercial app Signal.
If the timing of a combat mission, an imminently launched combat mission, is not sensitive government information, I simply don't know what is.
They know it's not war plans. There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information. You know who sees war plans? I see them. Every single day.
Late tonight, President Trump was asked if the administration is downplaying the chat.
I don't know about downplaying. The press upplays it. I think it's all a witch hunt.
And about Hegseth's role?
Hegseth is doing a great job. He had nothing to do with this.
In a heated hearing, House Democrats grilled CIA Director John Ratcliffe and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, who were on the chat.
It is outrageous and it is a leadership failure.
The idea that this information, if it was presented to our committee, would not be classified, y'all know is a lie.
But Republicans emphasize what was not included in that group chat.
Were there any names in the Signal chat?
No.
Any targets?
No.
Any locations?
No.
And this from Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who was also in the chat.
Someone made a big mistake and added a journalist, and the White House is looking at it, but that none of the information on there at any point threatened the operation of the lives of our servicemen.
The White House tonight stands by its assertion that nothing classified was shared.
The DoD manual details classified information as significant military plans, saying that is secret, that's classified. So what is it about what Pete Hegseth wrote that makes you say this is not classified?
Well, it's not just me saying that, Peter. It's the Secretary of Defense himself who is saying this as well. And again, this message, there was no classified information transmitted. There were no war plans discussed.
You said it's not war plans. Would you characterize these as military plans, military operation plans?
I would characterize this messaging thread as a policy discussion, a sensitive policy discussion, surely, amongst high-level cabinet officials and senior staff.
And Peter, tonight a top Republican is now calling for an independent review into the Signal chat.
Lester, Senator Roger Wicker, chair of the Armed Services Committee in the Senate, wants the Pentagon's Inspector General to investigate, but it's not clear who would lead that investigation since the president fired that independent watchdog when he returned to office. Lester?
Peter Alexander starting us off. Thank you. I want to bring in Courtney Kube now at the Pentagon. The Trump administration, Courtney, says there was no classified information in these chats, as you heard. What does Pentagon policy say?
Well, Lester, Secretary Hegseth's text includes specific times fighter jets would be launched, what would generally be considered military planning. And the Pentagon has clear guidelines on classification, stating that military plans or intelligence operations would be classified at the level of secret at least. And it warns that the disclosure of this type of information could lead to serious damage to operations, assets, or individuals. Lester?
And Courtney, I know at the Pentagon tonight you're following another big headline about U.S. troops overseas. What can you tell us?
Yeah, that's right, Lester. Tonight, 4 U.S. soldiers went missing during a training exercise in Lithuania earlier today. The armored vehicle they were riding in was found submerged in water, but the Army is still searching for those soldiers tonight. Lester?
All right, Courtney Kibbe with that late-breaking news. Thank you. Millions under fire threats tonight from Maryland to Florida. Fire crew the Carolinas as wildfires there burn and burn. NBC's Marissa Parr is on the ground.
A towering inferno teetering dangerously close to homes in this Florida neighborhood. This is a growing ring of fire forces Carolinians to flee the flames. In Polk County, North Carolina, 3 wildfires burning nearly 7,000 acres of land.
I'm hoping that it doesn't jump and we get it over there and burns up our property.
Multiple fires in the Carolinas sparked by a combination of warm temperatures and strong winds. The region still healing after Hurricane Helene just months ago. In Greenville, South Carolina, crews have been working around the clock, doing whatever they can to contain the blaze. The Table Rock fire burning nearly 2,500 acres. Wendy Clark leaving last night with whatever she could carry.
This feels like back-to-back natural disasters. Never in my 52 years did I think that I would be running from my home from a fire.
The fallen trees left over from Helene further feeding the flames.
I mean, it's just like a tinderbox, just ready.
We're at Incident Command Center. These ground crews behind me are keeping a close eye on the winds to make sure this tower of smoke behind me doesn't get any closer. Lester?
All right, Marissa.